Hello guys, you're listening to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. I'm joined here by my colleagues Benjamin Porter and Charlotte Porter. How are we doing, guys?
Hello.
We're well, not especially live because this will be pre-recorded, but we're live
on tour.
We're on tour. We're at
Frogs on tour.
Unlucky Frog on
Frogs
tour.
on tour at AireCon in Harrogate.
So we are recording in our lovely B&B.
Yep.
B&B? Airbnb.
Yes.
It's an Airbnb for AireCon.
Yeah.
I thanks to the powers of Virgin Rail East and maybe imbibing a couple of drinks last night at a gig, showed up late.
Yep.
So I got here for about it was about 5 o'clock-ish, wasn't it?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah. So what
On the second day.
on the second day, yes. So what I was hoping that you guys could just fill me in on what's been going on.
Well, we kind of already have, but
I know, but
for the benefit of the listeners,
purpose.
yeah. So we got here yesterday. A lot of the exhibitors were still setting up.
Mm-hmm.
So you had you had a lot of the guys, Mark McKinnon of Wreck and Ruin fame, Bez of Stuff by Bez,
Keith McClellan.
Tom Pike of Themeborn, Keith McClellan of Nuts and Bolts. They were all in their little corner, demoing their games till quite late at night, actually.
And the retail section wasn't even.
No, that was
set up,
still
that
was still setting up.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of people
Playing?
making use of the board game library.
Yeah.
And they have a bring and buy section where you can bring board games you no longer feel quite as attached to as you maybe once did, and can buy copies of things that other people have brought with them.
Pre-loved, I believe, is the phrase.
Pre-loved board games.
Yes.
So it was fairly busy last night, but today it kicked off in earnest. I started the game. I started the day
With the game?
with a game.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, I managed to join in on a demo of The City of Kings, which is a game I've had my eye on for a while. I missed the Kickstarter for it. But it has some of the most spectacular art I think I've seen in a tabletop game.
Well, we walked past it earlier today, and you
Yeah.
pointed it out to me. Very vibrant, like
quite an unusual colour palette.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a funny one because right away you can see that it's fantasy. There's a lot of things that are quite familiar about it, but it does those things in its own way. But as for describing the game itself, it's it's a 4-player cooperative game, and it's a bit of a mishmash in terms of mechanics, but in the greatest way possible.
Right.
Because it's 4-player co-op, and like all good RPGs, you've got character progression, you've got skill trees, you've got leveling up, and the board itself is procedurally generated.
Right.
So your characters have to explore to flip over the tiles. So, and those tiles can be things like a camp where you can mine, or it might be a monster cave.
Right. Okay.
And the monsters, as the game goes, some of the monsters you come up against are absolutely brutal. I mean, the health bars, once you level up, go right up to 20 health. Apparently there's monsters like once you progress through the campaign that do 20 damage a hit. So it's like
That sounds nasty.
Yeah, you have to start being really clever about the way that you're building your characters. And although each of the characters didn't necessarily have a distinctive class right out of the box. I mean, you could argue that depending on the way that you level up through those skill trees, that you can become a tank or a rogue or whatever. But what was quite interesting is that we, the players, were quite naturally all leveling up our characters in different ways to complement one another. So one character, one of the guys, he was leveling up his character for its healing ability. So he ended up as the sort of cleric of the group, whereas I went full glass cannon. So I was like doing.
You surprised me, Ben.
Yeah, I was doing loads of damage and just leaving all the healing to my compatriots.
Yeah, that's fair. Were you in on this as well, Charlotte?
No, I was playing some other games at the time. I was actually in the general board gaming bit,
right?
With Duncan Cowan of Tabletop Scotland. And we played Chinatown.
Chinatown's great.
It was a great game. I'd never played it before. I actually won by not having... Basically, I didn't think I was going to win, so my game of play was I'm going to dick on everyone. So I purposely kept trying to block people.
Yeah.
But then I ended up with most money because people were like, I'll give you this for that. So I had the least amount of pieces on the board, but most money in my hand.
There we go.
It was great fun.
Yeah, I've played Chinatown a couple of times. If we get a chance, I might give you a game tomorrow, actually, because it is so much fun.
But just to quickly finish with City of Kings.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to come back to that.
I've talked about it quite a bit, but this is the thing that made it really stand out for me from a lot of similar games, is that every character has a worker. Like you have your own personal pleb that you can send to farm resources for you,
right? And
then you can send them back to the City of Kings. And at certain points in the game, if a monster appears on a tile where you've got a worker, they can they end up as a little bit of a damsel in distress where they're pinned and you have to go and rescue them. But you can level up your worker as well.
All right.
So it's a really cool system where it's not all combat driven.
Yeah.
There's commerce plays a huge part in the game.
Oh, sold.
Yeah. So it's Frank, the lad who's behind the development of the game. He said that they are planning to have copies with retailers in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay.
So I will be definitely picking that up.
Yeah.
Because it just ticks so many boxes.
Aye, yeah. And no doubt we'll be giving that one
absolutely
a thorough playthrough. So that's good. So, and you were playing Chinatown at this point. So what else did you get up to earlier today?
We were at Playtest UK.
Mm-hmm.
We playtested a game by two gentlemen called Johnny and Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Pandora's
Wardens
Vault?
of Pandora's Vault. So it's quite a long title, but I think that it's a working title because this Playtest UK is where people bring their prototypes, and they put them to the likes of, we were there, but two of the Playtest UK guys were there as well, and they did not hold back on their criticism.
I mean, how brutal are we talking?
Pretty brutal.
Okay.
And that's from someone who is quite direct.
I realised I don't think I can playtest because actually I sat there feeling quite... I felt the need to defend.
Yeah.
That's not the point of it. The point of the playtest is to have that opportunity to be able to say this isn't working right, or this is...
They definitely do provide a valuable resource. Yeah. I do have to say though that I don't necessarily agree with all of the criticism that this guy made of this game. I think he actually misunderstood a couple of the rules that he criticised. So for me, right away, you do need to take criticism like that with a pinch of salt.
Right.
I'm also aware he does it a lot more than me.
Yes.
So I mean that's fine, but he definitely did drop the ball on that. But my Wardens of Pandora's Vault it's a card-based game. Everyone plays Monster Hunters, and you've got 5 monsters in play, and everyone wants to nab as many monsters as they can. But the monsters,
you have to catch them all.
You said it.
We'll catch certain types.
Yeah.
Or we're just murdering these monsters.
But you know Lords of Waterdeep?
Yes.
Where you are incentivized towards collecting certain quests.
Yes.
Wardens of Pandora's Vault works the same way, where you're incentivized to getting certain monsters, and you get extra victory points if you've got monsters that match the symbols that you need to get. But it's just a really fun dice rolling game. So you have 5 dice. You need to roll to match the symbols of the monster that you want, and it goes around like that. But the for me the main problem with the game was that the guys were saying the game ends when you deck out. It's a pretty big deck,
right?
So I said to them,
48 cards.
I said to them that's too long for a game like a dice roll sort of push your luck type game. I felt so that they had something like they had these bombs where if they came into play they refresh all the monsters, but then they were putting them back in the deck, and I was saying why can't the bombs just destroy them all, and then that's helping you burn through it quicker. And the other thing I suggested was if they actually had, rather than just having like 5 in the middle in a group, is to have a track, and the track advances as the game goes. So it means that at the start of every player's turn, you're feeding a new monster and then discarding one off the end. So it means that you're going to always cycle through that deck, and the bombs are just going to speed the game up. But I did feel quite bad for them. They seemed a bit deflated after it.
Well, no, because I think in the end, actually, I think what had happened. I'm always a sucker for a compliment sandwich, and that was what was missing. That it came off. He came off very negative until the very last couple of points, which were exceptionally positive. You know, it was sort of like this is what you could think about, this is what you could do, but overall. It's a good game, it's a really good theme, I really like where you're going with it, I really like what's coming of it, I really like where you're taking it. But that was actually quite in contrast to what you were saying.
And the theme was really fun because they'd made up... They had 48 cards in the deck and they're all unique monsters. Like there's one called Sasquatch.
Yep.
And there's one that I got, it's like, it was Dead Brian.
Right.
And the flavour text was he used to be dead, but he got better.
I like it.
So it's a really light-hearted, funny game, and I felt also that the name was at odds with the flavour of the game. That it was quite jokey and cheesy. Wardens of Pandora's Vault sounds
quite serious,
austere. Yeah,
Pandora's Vault would probably suffice.
But no, I think they need a name that conveys some of the humour within the game. But that was quite an interesting experience. After that, we met with Dave Weatherall, who's involved in Playtest UK, and we tried out a couple of his games, didn't we?
Yeah.
All right.
Kaleido cards.
Kaleido cards.
Kaleido cards. It was a fun game. It was basically a deck of cards that each card has 3 components, which is a coloured background, a word in a font in a colour, and then the word written out. So it was that way. It actually reminded me of a lot of psychological games that you get. I haven't done a lot of psychology myself, but you always have those sort of mind testing games.
So you could have a white card that says the word red in a blue font.
Right. Oh god, yeah, yes. that's just gonna mess with my head.
So there was 5. I think there was red, green, blue, white, and black. And so there was so many variations, and he's figured it out so that it's every possible variation that you could get. So each card is unique and stands alone. But the way it works is I suppose the cards are the mechanic, and there's like 20 different games you can play, and they're all very different.
Sounds a bit like similar sort of idea that Bez was getting at when she brought out Wibble.
The sort of brain training type games. Yeah.
Some of them were very. We started off with one that we knew Ben wouldn't appreciate that much, which was the where you have to grab the colours.
I hate quickfire games.
Whereas I'm quite good at quickfire games.
Yeah.
But then we played one that I really liked, which was, again, I found it so complicated. I could feel like my brain melting at one point. It was just you had to try and match. So you had to identify 2 cards, and between the 2 cards, you needed to have all 5 colours in some way, shape, or form.
Represented in 2 cards.
Whether it was the text, whether it was the colour of the text. And so
but what's slow. Of all the games we played with that deck, that was the one I enjoyed the most.
Right.
But I think that was because you could be a bit more deliberate. And funnily enough, Dave said that's his favourite game of the 20 that he's designed for that deck as well, and it's for that reason that it's a gentler pace, and it favours a more considered approach.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the other ones were more about like quick arithmetic and reaction time.
And you get penalised if you just pick. That's the thing. It stops you from just picking any odd 2. You need to actually, because if you pick the wrong ones, you then lose ones from your bank. So you need to sort of really think about it.
You do need to be careful then.
The other one that I really liked was I'd been away from the table when I came back. You were playing it, and it was like Connect Free.
Yeah.
And it was like you were creating a board as you went.
But that's a fully cooperative game.
I really liked that game.
So it's you're limited to a grid of 5 cards by 5 cards. You start with 1 in the middle, and then you have to. So you're basically working out how you can build this grid, making the most points as you can.
Sure.
With these randomly generated cards.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So it's quite. I think it would be quite good actually for kids in schools to play. Just as like a problem-solving activity.
Yeah.
Because it forces you to work together. But I think of the 2, I mean, if you can say Kaleido cards is one game, of the 2 games that Dave showed us, the one I enjoyed the most was Rock Pool.
Rock Pool.
Which is one that he's currently working on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do in Rock Pool?
Well, your children collecting shells in a rock pool.
Yeah.
It sounds very gentle.
Yeah.
But it's nice, and even the fact that you actually physically build the rock pool from the piles. We were actually saying it was similar to.
It felt similar in a lot of ways to Nomads.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you've got the rock piles.
Yes.
And you sort of work your way through the rocks, and then
Are you trying to collect sets? Is that
so? You've got 7 stacks of rocks in a circle, and each of them is a wave card.
Right.
And what happens is you pick one of the rock pools, and then you flip over a card.
Right.
And then you flip another one over. It can be any of the rock pools. It doesn't have to be sequential. You flip that over and put that down. And at any point at this, so say it comes to Charlotte, she can say, "I'm going to take that," and she takes everything in the pile. And then what happens is she matches the symbols from the shells to the shell symbols on the little set of kids that she's got. And then you put them under them. But whenever you allocate shells to the kids, the shell symbol that was on the top of the pile that you picked, you flip the kid with that symbol over, and you can't add any more to that.
Right.
That
So it's
kid's exhausted now. You can't use that.
He's just picked too many things from the rock pool. So what are the things that you can collect, like old cans of lager and like
shopping trolleys? No, there's an old boot though. What was the old boot?
I was gonna say old boot, book of cliches.
I dare say it wouldn't be kid friendly if we designed it.
No, hell no.
Use needles and stuff like that.
Oh, where's this air?
Yeah.
No, Not Air as in AireCon.
Air the town.
Air and Ayrshire.
Yeah. Sorry, but yeah. Cool. So after playtesting a lot of those games, what did you guys get up to after that? Was this about the time that I was arriving?
One of the things maybe we should talk about was actually last night we did a playtest demo with Keith McClellan.
We did.
Nuts and Bolts.
Oh, yes.
Yep. So Keith McClellan is another one of the Scottish designers. Mm-hmm. And we made a point of going to speak to Keith this time
because he was at Glasgow Games.
We sat beside him,
but we didn't get a chance to actually try his games.
He was so busy, and we were with Mark McKinnon playing Wreck and Ruin for the first time, so that took up a bit of time. Yes.
So Nuts and Bots is it's very much a sort of worker placement game. But what's interesting about it is you're trying to fulfill these contracts to build these robots, but you can opt to add a workstation to the factory floor, but other players can shift them around.
Oh right, okay.
And in order to fulfill a contract, so say for example you've got a contract with 3 squares on it, and you've got a chip, and a laser gun.
Okay.
You need to line those 3 up in any way, in any combination, as long as they're in that sequence. So you could have them in like an L formation, you could have them in a line. They just can't be diagonally, and then you have to have a worker on each of them.
Right.
That's how you fulfill that contract. But it can become absolute mayhem when people start shifting your stations away, and you can all be at cross purposes with one another. So it's actually a really fun game.
The thing that I really enjoyed though about the whole process was actually being able to talk to Keith. So basically, when you look at the game, it doesn't look anything like how you'd imagine it plays.
Yes.
And after talking with him, that's because he really wants to get the actual mechanics of the game down before he talks about how it's going to look.
Yeah,
so
presentation.
We actually had a really interesting conversation about how it could look and how we could make things, we were talking about, because obviously he says he wants it to be robots, that's what he's decided, but whether he's going to make it comical, sort of comedy robots, going to make them welcome friendly robots, even, we're thinking maybe sort of like Tim Burton-esque style,
I think this is
steampunk sort of stuff.
This is what could potentially make or break Nuts and Bots. Is where he goes with the theme, because it still does look very much like a prototype.
And that's fine. It is a prototype. He is testing it and developing it, and that's probably a sensible thing that he's done by saying, right, I want to make sure that the game itself, the mechanics of the game, all works, and I'm happy with that before I go into getting the art direction.
It's a really big commitment, especially if you're working on the visual design at the same time as you're working on the game design, and then the two of them can be at cross purposes with each other because the theme's going in one direction and the actual play is going in another direction.
It's not. It's still got a ways to go. It's we can't really give like a full critique of it because of that, but he's still dithering about how some of the scoring and objectives are going to work. And we gave him a few suggestions based on how we maybe thought it could work. Like he's even thinking about the fact of having like a set character. Just that they don't necessarily have to make the gameplay in hugely different ways, but just from the fact that people can form an attachment because it's I like that robot, and that's the one that you play as.
Bot, that's me. I always play Steampunk Bot or Deathbot or whatever it was. But even the fact that we were talking about like the order in which you do things, because there was a discussion about one of the main objective of the game is to build the Megabot. But maybe how actually if you select, are all the Megabots the same design and it's about token gathering, or do you select the Megabot you want before you start building? rather than it being you started building and then it's just an like an opportunity moment where you think, oh, actually I've got half of these guys, so I'll get them, or is it that you're already working towards it right from the beginning? So we had a really good discussion about that and how you could make it. So he's going away to think about those things, and obviously other people have played it as well and have given their suggestions and things. So hopefully he's not got a massive plan to go through, but
it looks as though it's going to be one of those games that's equal parts fun and frustrating.
Yes, yeah.
That's usually a good thing.
Yeah,
right?
because the frustration actually is like, no, I want to play it again.
Yeah, I need to beat this.
Because when I said to Keith that this has got great potential as a friendship destroyer, he was a bit like, oh, I don't think so. And I was like, no, that's great.
Yeah.
It's like, that puts you up with like GoldenEye and Mario Kart and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, no, that sounds awesome. And, hopefully I'll get a chance to try it out for myself at some point over the weekend.
We spoke to an artist called Ralph Horsley.
Yes, yeah. No, and you quickly introduced us as well, but he does fantasy art mostly.
Some of which you may have already seen.
I have seen some of it already because his art is featured on some Magic the Gathering cards.
Fireball, I believe, is the one that he's most.
No, that's Hearthstone.
Oh, is it Hearthstone?
That's for Hearthstone.
Yeah,
Sneak something.
The most recent thing that he'll be known for, I think, is some of the artwork for the Unstable expansion for Magic the Gathering. He did
the artwork for some of the contraptions, which was really cool. Like looking.
He's actually got one of the originals on display.
I know.
He was saying that that big piece that he's got for Unstable, I don't know what it's called, it's got all the cogs and all that.
Yeah, so they were all basically those big pieces of artwork were split into 9 cards, so they were all contraptions for this certain faction.
This is what he said, is that it was actually done on 9 canvases.
He's got the original.
Oh my!
They're massive.
Wow!
It's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
and he was saying as well, I just think he says there's a 5-year lead time on Magic the Gathering projects.
Yeah, that's
the artwork for this was all done 5 years ago.
Oh right,
and
wow!
I was like, I just think it's amazing that there's this massive team of people that all know that this is a thing. And it doesn't really go out there. And he was saying, "Oh yeah, we're all under NDA and all that."
We could probably talk on just a separate episode, just the development process that Wizards do for Magic the Gathering. Because I mean, they've come under a bit of fire recently for the standard format not being particularly balanced or fun. But they are. You'd be surprised just how much research and development and play testing that company does of their own products before releasing.
And from that I get talking about the fact that you see that in a lot of the Games Workshops, Bruce. Like you'll have a model that comes out in 2018 and it'll say 2016 on the sprue.
Yep.
And and he then got on to mention that he's doing some of the artwork for the re-release of the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay,
which looked really cool.
It looks amazing.
Yeah,
it was just really exciting to see all that stuff.
Yeah,
as someone who's of a slightly artistic bent, I always get a bit gushy just looking over artwork and stuff like that. So I think we're actually going to have Ralph on the podcast at some point in the future.
Yeah, so we're going to try and sort something out along those lines.
There was one other thing, just again very different. We've been talking about different things we've tried, but there was a stall that I went to that I made a mental note of going to because I'm always on the lookout for them, and it's Eldritch Essences.
Eldritch Essences.
Yes, Essences.
Essences.
And they do scents, like candles,
perfumes that drive you insane.
But it's designed for you obviously they've got stuff for the house, but they have this section for atmosphere in role playing games, so you can actually have the place smell like the crypt, or you could have the
inevitable sewer level.
But I love the idea. There's one I'd always been looking at, cantrip candles, and they do lots of scents. Like they had one that was meant to be like a mead factory, like a mead brewery.
Oh, right.
Things like that. The bakers, it was like fresh.
Oh, the
bread.
alky.
You know, but again, then they had the black library, and then they had like the graveyard where it was all like sort of musky scents. Obviously, it doesn't smell of death, but you know, it's sort of
certainly helpful.
But I always found that really interesting, and to
it's really
have
cool,
that
right?
Actually, because I know a guy that
Was there not was it Phoenix Alchemy?
Yes, yeah.
There was a company that actually made a range of perfumes and aftershaves that were based on all these fantastical.
I love this. I absolutely
things.
love this because I feel like I would love to have, you know, if we were doing like, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, having just something to really create the atmosphere, really create just the feeling of it.
Yeah, no, that's
you
really
know,
cool.
We put music on and we have like, you know, music from epic fantasy scores and stuff like that, but actually to have something just to really bring it all.
Yeah.
So so I made a point of introducing myself to them.
Excellent. I just along the lines of, you know, the sort of perfumes. I do like the thought really amuses me of someone waking up and just going, do you know what? I want to smell like a unicorn today.
I think a lot of people do. It seems to be the trend at the the everything.
Unicorns.
Yeah, I think you've spoken how we're at Lovecraft saturation point.
Yeah,
I think we're at unicorn saturation point.
Yeah,
I think we've long past unicorn saturation point.
The other thing, though, is of course, you know, way back in the day when the British Isles, they were all picking their national animal, and England goes, right, I'll go first. I'll pick a lion, and then the Welsh guy turns around and goes, no, I think I'll have a dragon then. And the English person turns around and says, no, you can't have made up, and then Scotland just butts in, a unicorn!
Yes.
A freedom unicorn.
Yeah, freedom unicorn.
Yeah. What's the Irish animal?
So I know in the military it's an Irish wolfhound, but I don't think that's the... I actually have no idea. That's terrible.
Does the leprechaun count?
An animal, it's too human to be an animal, though.
I don't think
right?
it's on any coats of arms, but it should be.
Aye.
Just an angry
with a
drunk.
three-pot of coke.
You know, like the Boston Celtics unicorn with his lip.
Excellent. Yes. So no, that sounded really cool. And the moment that I arrived was when you were on a panel with a load of other podcasters.
I was. Polyhedron Collider, who people may or may not have heard of.
I hear they're a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
They were hosting. They called it On the Couch. But
there was no couch.
There was an embarrassing lack
of couches.
an embarrassing lack of couches. I was told there'd be a couch there.
I would have refused to have got up until somebody brought me a couch.
I'm sure that would have gone down well.
Yeah. So I walked in as you were because you were locked in debate with No Pun Included as well about paid reviews.
Yeah, and I think that's something we're probably going to have to address in the future now.
Yeah, because
he felt, and I guess everyone's right from their perspective, aren't they? But he felt that it wasn't an issue. I disagree.
Yeah.
You know, as someone that stands astride both the video gaming and tabletop, or you know, I sort of occupy both. I say stands astride like I'm some gaming colossus.
Yes.
Which I'm most certainly not.
Maybe you are, Ben.
Maybe in someone's eyes I am. Maybe just in my own eyes. But so without getting into that whole thing. Video gaming has already gone through that scandal.
Yes.
And we need to make sure in tabletop gaming that we do not, because when it came to a head in video gaming,
wasn't it?
It was extremely ugly. The alt-right got involved in all sorts. It was a mess.
Something that you feel very strongly about.
I do, but
yeah,
I'll feel strongly about it in a future episode.
Yes.
And I think actually Andy from the Polyhedron Collider is very keen to talk about that. So.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll try and sort out doing some sort of collaboration at some point in the future. So, guys, I think that is just about all we've got time for now. Except
it's time for a very quick What's in the Box?
What's in the box? Told you we'd be doing this again, guys.
So Charlotte snuck off.
I couldn't contain myself.
Charlotte snuck off and bought one of the latest in the Rick and Morty series of licensed tabletop games.
Anyone that knows me knows that I am a sucker for Rick and Morty. I was actually at the shop trying to look all cultured and be like, what's this artistic? And then I just saw Rick and Morty and I was like, right,
I'll have that trashy licensed game,
give it
please.
to me.
Right.
Yeah.
We got a box fart.
Got a box fart?
Silent but violent.
Yeah.
I see the Ricks.
So this game is called Close Rick Counters of the Rick Kind.
And it's
named after
based
the
on
episode. Yeah.
Well, all of the games they've been doing are named after an episode because there's
Total Recall.
there's
Total
the Mystics
Recall.
game as well. I can't remember what that's called. So we've got right. I've opened the box. That's what all the shouting about the box fart was. We've got a QI code in. QR.
A QI code, would that include Stephen Fry just appears when you scan it.
Reading the rules out to you.
That would be great. Telling you why everything you believe's a lie.
Exactly.
Don't know what that is.
I will check that out.
Download the Quid app for free and start collecting digital trading cards and stickers.
Ooh.
Right. Rulebook. What do we do when we get a
Index,
rulebook?
Look at the back.
Index.
Okay.
Glossary.
We've got a quick reference
That's
Yeah.
with turn sequence and end of turn. And we have... it looks like they've got a section of additional rules.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a section for specific card clarifications.
There we go.
But it's not quite an index.
It's not quite an index.
But accessible.
Yeah, they've got the quick reference guide on the back. Funnily enough, see, I go gaming with another group of guys occasionally on a Wednesday night, and Stephen from that group that actually said that now he purposefully looks for an index in the back of each
because
rule
of what we were saying.
Because of what we were talking about. So
it's see the amount of people that I say that to, and they go, "Oh, that's a good point, actually." But it's the first thing I look at because there's so many games that I always rant about this, but there's so many games that we've played where it takes ages. Whenever someone asks a question about the game, for you to fish your way through the rule book to find the rule. Yeah. Because there's no index.
That's actually something we talked about with Keith, wasn't it? About like actually giving things keywords and identifying when he designs the theme. Yeah, what the keywords.
Decide upon the language of your game and put an index in it.
Yeah.
That's right. So I'm opening a little wallet.
These appear to be some sort of organised. Oh
these
no, we have collections
cards.
of Ricks. So we've got Annoyed Rick, Calm Rick, Crazy Rick, Drunk Rick, Happy Rick, and Angry Rick.
There's Pocket Mortys.
Yes.
I was playing Pocket Mortys for a while, which is basically Pokemon but with different types of Mortys.
Mortys, yeah.
So I think these actually give you different powers to use.
Right, okay.
So it does mean there's slightly different play styles.
Yeah.
So pass
Right. It should be noted, a nice insert as well, which is always appreciated.
Well, the Anatomy Park had a pretty good insert as well, the Anatomy Park game. And I've got here, it looks like a deck of various Mortys.
Let's have a look.
Are these the Pocket Mortys?
Hold on. Need to give it a... Oh.
Does it smell good?
That's a good smell.
It's got that new game smell.
Yeah, so we've got a variety of Mortys.
I've just realised that this is a deck building game, so I'm going to love it naturally.
Yeah, I might not love it. It depends how long I have to spend watching Josh draw cards.
What could be more fun than drawing cards?
Well, it's fun for you, but it's
and that's all I'm concerned about.
Because you're a horrible person.
So is it all the Mortys from the episode?
We've got Mortys, we've got Ricks. I think was I right in saying we've got a Summer there as well?
There's some
items.
item cards. I think the
That's
item
cool.
cards are grey. Then you've got special cards like Slow Clap, Poop and Basketball Trap, Phone Sticks. They look as though they're events and things like that. Mm-hmm. So there's another wad.
So as I said, as much as I do love Rick and Morty, and I will collect, we've got 3 of the 4 current games. Apparently there's another 3 that have been licensed and are due to come out within the next couple of months. So I will be buying them all.
They all are quite distinct from one another. They are, to all intents and purposes, completely different games. Look, what is going on with the backs of these cards?
I think that's just the Cryptozoic.
They phoned that one in, didn't they?
Yeah.
Maybe this is to be compatible with other deck building games that Cryptozoic have. Hence why a uniform back.
I hadn't thought of that.
That might be the reason. I don't know if that is, but that might
I mean,
be.
as someone
brand everything.
As someone that is a sucker for the Rick and Morty theme, doesn't necessarily care about the game mechanics, I want to know why I don't have Rick and Morty backs.
Cronenberg Morty.
I want maximum Rick and Morty. But it's all based on stuff from the
show.
The show, which is fairly standard.
That is a great episode. That is a great
That
episode.
is one of the better episodes, yeah. So
we won't say anything about it.
Yeah. So guys, we are. We'll get back to you on that and tell you how good that game is. But I think we're going to draw this episode to a close now. So thanks again for listening. If you want to get in touch and ask us any questions, by all means, and we'll be catching you next time.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.